I'm sick. So unfortunately, I'm sick on the day of the webinar. So you'll have to put up with my raspiness a little bit. I appreciate that. And we're going to get started here. I want to make sure that everybody can hear me okay, including the clock chimes potentially in the background. Any?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So it's 10 o'clock, as the clock says. That's crazy. I'm in a new location today, and so fun times. Christy and I are going to give a presentation on frequently asked questions. It's going to be more of a conversation style presentation. I do have some very brief slides that I've made to just sort of like walk through some of the frequently asked questions that I've received, and then Christy and I are going to talk, and she's going to share some of the frequently asked questions that she has received in more of a conversation style. So if you happen to have any questions that pop up during this webinar, please go ahead and put them in the chat, and we are more than happy to help answer those after we talk about the few that we've brought to the table today. So let's go ahead and get started. Maybe not. I'm gonna need the navigator. All right. So you're going to see some cute puppies and random pictures because that's what it kind of felt like today. The first question we have is, I copy and pasted content into my website. Why are the images on my site broken? So this happens a lot when we're migrating websites, especially to a new platform. So when you just select all, copy the content from the old website, paste it into the new website, then all of a sudden things look good, they're working fine, you give approval to launch, and then boom, all the images might be broken. Or you copy and paste content and randomly like an image will be broken. So why does this happen? Excuse me. So because of the way that the World Wide Web works, essentially when you copy images, it's not going to work the same as when you copy text. So let's talk about that. Cute kitty and little puppy. Again, just because. I mean, why not? It's too much text without a fun little image. So we're going to pretend that we've copied this little cat and dog onto a website, and we've pasted it in. When you paste an image into your website, this is a screenshot of the tutorial, but essentially what happens is, as you can see in step 4, the image is showing up because it's linking to your old website. So there's actually a URL path there, and the web server is saying, oh, there's a URL path to directly to an image. I'm going to display that URL path. But the image is actually hosted on your old website. So when it's hosted on your old website, it's going to show up until your old website is gone. Okay? So what you're going to want to make sure that you do is that you upload the image to your current website so that it's on the same server that is hosting your website. Did I lose anybody? I mean, it's a little confusing, but the most important thing to remember is that when you add an image to your site, you're going to want to right-click on that image and download it, like copy image to desktop. And then on your new site, you can paste in the text, but then you're going to want to use the little CK editor gear, icon of the image, like to upload your image to the server for the site that you're on. And if you have more questions about that, we'd be happy to help answer them. But essentially, if you use the UI like you're used to upload images to your website, it'll work fine. Just remember that you cannot copy and paste images like you can copy and paste text. And the same goes for files. Next question. I would like to share a large research data set from my site. Can I? Sometimes, especially in extension and outreach in different research areas on campus, we've run into this where there's a, let's say, a grant website. They have been doing research for many years. There's a huge data set that they want to share with people that has maybe a connection to a publication that they just released, and they want to be able to share that content with their end users. And you can actually do that. And I just wanted to share that you can email DanaShare and they will host the data for you. And it's really neat because it's actually through the library. And when you work with them, you can go to this. Oh, I actually can move things here. You can go to this URL path and visit the page for more information. And I'll just right now go ahead and put that in the chat so that everybody can have it. If you're one of those people that, oh, I might need that someday. Oh, I forgot the HTTPS. Good job. See if it'll work for you. If you could just copy and paste that. What happens is the library has a way that they can share this data set, but actually put a digital object identifier with it. So you can reference it as a DOI. So you can actually reference it within your research paper or publications, which is very cool. And then you can also list it. So pretty nice. I just wanted folks to know that that existed and it was available on campus, because sometimes I think people don't understand that that's actually available. So third question, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this. I hesitated, but I'm going to do it. Can I create links that open in a new tab or window? And the answer is, can you? Yes. Do we recommend it? No. And I'm going to walk through why we don't recommend it. I think some of you probably already know this, but in case you don't, browsers are actually built with the ability to right-click on any link and open it in a new tab. And when you open a link in a new tab without using right-click, it's an unexpected behavior to the user, because what you're actually doing is controlling someone's web browser. So you're saying, open it in a new tab, even if perhaps the person doesn't want to or expect it to happen. And to assume that everyone wants it to open in a new tab is a challenge when it comes to, especially with accessibility. So folks have browsers that when you go into the browser settings, you can control how you want your tabs to open. So you could say you want items to open in a new tab every time. You can set settings however you want. You can right click and just decide on the fly if you want to open a link in a new window or in a new tab. So it really is like grabbing the steering wheel from someone and driving instead of actually letting them control their own browser. So oftentimes we get this request, and I think folks that, request this don't actually realize perhaps how to use their web browser and how to surf the internet by using the tools that exist within the browsers. They've come a long way, and you can control a lot of that. I'm hearing some chatter, so please make sure that make sure you're muted. For security purposes, this is also something that to be aware of. When a link opens in a new window, you're vulnerable to being hijacked, and it's been around for years and years. And I mean, this is a long, well-known thing that, your content can be hijacked if it opens in a new window. We know that fewer and fewer websites are allowing for this behavior. So although it was common for a while, it's not as common anymore. It's actually decreasing. And again, I already mentioned usability, but those who have screen readers and magnifiers and have certain impairments, like if you open a link in a new window, it could really confuse someone who has that sort of technology. So I'd really encourage not doing it. And personally, I've gotten used to, I've had to get used to it myself. I tell everybody that asks for that. I was like, I totally get it because, I mean, it's, and I also want to mention that there are very few, there's just a really tiny subset of reasons that you would want to open in a new window. And I would say that one of those is if you're filling out a form and you need to link off that form to get information or view something and you're going to lose your information on the form, that would be a reason that you could open in a new tab or a new window. But it's a very, there's very little reason to do it. So I just wanted to spend a little time on that, and I am at 11 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. I'm going to pass it over to Christy, and Christy, I'll let you go ahead, but if we want to have it more conversation style, that's fine too. So,
Yeah. Thank you. Um, by the way, I loved the puppy pictures. That was just a lovely way to start the day. So before I get started on the 3 FAQs that I brought, extension folks, you probably got an email from me yesterday regarding some issues that we're having on our website, thanks to an unexpected database server move. I just wanted to provide a quick update to that. As far as the time frame for us getting fixed, it is probably going to be a couple weeks because we have to wait for the ITS person to come back from vacation. So we are still figuring out what all was affected by that move, and we do have a plan that we are going to put into place as soon as he is back to work with us. So just an FYI. It feels like dial-up internet connection speed sometimes right now, so it's very frustrating. So thank you for being patient with us. Okay, so the 3 FAQs, and I am just doing this more conversational style. I did not bring slides. The first FAQ that I have to talk about is uploading a publication from the extension store. Can you download a publication from the extension store and upload it to your website? And no, that please don't. Yes, you absolutely can, but linking to a publication on the extension store is always going to be your best option. And there's a few different reasons for that. Number one, up-to-date content. Some extension store products are updated on a semi-regular basis with new content or corrections are made. So the extension store is always going to host the most up-to-date version available. So linking to the store as opposed to downloading and uploading just guarantees the accuracy of the materials being shared. Also, along with that up-to-date content, we're still working very heavily on our e-accessibility initiative. So publications, even if they're older, are getting re-uploaded to have an accessible version available. So just linking to those extension store publications is always your best bet. Another reason for that is accurate reporting. The extension store directly reports purchase and download numbers to federal and legislative audiences on an annual basis, which in turn has the capacity to impact our funding. These numbers now tie directly into my data. If there are concerns about redirecting to another website, like I just really do not want my user to go to the store, I just want them to get the download, you can actually just add .pdf to the end of any of the store permalinks for the publicly available free publications, and it will just download the PDF for them, but it still is tracking it appropriately because it's still linked to the extension store. The second FAQ is what makes good image alternative text. So with the addition of Siteimprove to our library of tools and resources to use, image alternative text is one of those things that is just low-hanging fruit. It's super common to have that problem. Excuse me, sorry. Super common to have that problem, not having image alternative text, especially on our older sites that did not require it. And it's also one of the easiest things to go back in and fix, except some of our older sites don't allow you to actually add image alternative text. So clearly that's a problem. So what makes good image alternative text? I think we have this question a lot because if I upload my headshot, do I just put headshot? Do I put Christy Elmore headshot? Do I put image of Christy Elmore? What do I put? So we want to make sure that the image alternative text we are adding is useful. It's one of the easiest ways to make your website more accessible. So you can, a couple ways to make it a little bit more useful is be specific and succinct. Describe the content of the image without editorializing.
Oh, what they predict the rent's gonna be.
Oh, the
Printed out.
cash rents?
Sorry. Okay. So be specific and succinct. Describe the content of the image without editorializing. Say what you see and don't make assumptions. An analogy for this would be think how you'd briefly describe the image over the phone. Another way that you can add useful alt text is never start with image of or picture of. It's going to be obvious to either a person or a machine, such as assistive technology, when they're accessing alternative text that it's an image. However, it is good to help people understand context. So explaining the type of image, such as a headshot, illustration, chart, etc., can actually be very useful. So when I first started this, I said, what do I say if I upload a picture of myself? I could put a Christy Elmore headshot, and that would be a good indication of what that image is and the context of why it's being included. The third FAQ I have is, can I use the heading tag that I like the look of the best? So when you are using headings, you usually have heading 2 through heading 5, 6. Ours is currently heading 6. And a lot of times we're choosing the one that we just like the look of the best, whether it's bold and the other one is not, or it's the size that we like the best. We totally get it. We get the desire to pick the one that you like the best, but it is actually really important to use headings in order. Organizing web pages by headings, not bolder caps, actual headings, helps users get a sense of the page's organization and structure. Visually, headings are presented as larger and more distinct than the surrounding text. Making text larger helps guide the eye around the page. Using headings and making them visually apparent is especially helpful for users with cognitive disabilities. Screen reader users also benefit from headings. Screen reader users can navigate a page according to its headings, listen to a list of all of the headings, and skip to a desired heading to begin reading at that point. Screen reader users can also use headings to skip things like menus and sidebars. We definitely do not want you to skip heading levels. So don't skip from a heading 2 to a heading 5. They really need to be used in order. I like to think of them as like an outline I had to do for my English high school class or something. You know, that's basically what your heading is doing. It's creating the actual structure of your page. So do not select heading levels based on their appearance. Select the appropriate heading rank in your page hierarchy. Also, don't use bold instead of a heading. One of the most common accessibility mistakes is making text bold when a heading is needed. Though you have a visual appearance when you use bold, the underlying code is not set correctly. And so anyone using assistive technology would not benefit from that. And that's what I have. So does anyone have any questions for us?
Excellent. There's also a little hand raise button if anybody wants to raise their hand and actually ask a question. We'd be happy to help field it.
Also does not have to be a question specific to the things that we
Okay.
talked about. If you have a different question, definitely go ahead and ask.
Um, I hope that the editing is going well. I think those of you that attend these webinars, from what I can see, are some of our very excellent editors. So I think you all are doing a nice job editing, and I think the ones that, those of you that are here on this webinar, um, are working very hard, and we really appreciate you attending these and listening, because I understand, like, some of these, maybe it was like one of these questions really hit home, and some of them you already knew. So we really appreciate your time. And if you already knew the answers, I hope that what it does is give you some verbiage to take with you and put in your pocket, so that when you are asked questions, that you can help Christy and I by giving these kinds of answers to people, because it's exactly what we would say. So I hope that it helps in that regard. When resizing, let's see, Jill says, when resizing a photo for a thumbnail, what size should it be? That's a great question. I'll go ahead and take this one for some of it. We, what I would recommend when you're adding images is to look within the help text. So when you're editing and in the editor, there's little text usually that's around the space where you would add that thumbnail image. And generally it should give you some dimensions for what we recommend that thumbnail image be. But in general, what I can say is a couple webinars ago, we did a presentation on resizing images and photos and banners. I think it was the last one. So I'd recommend going into that webinar to look, because sometimes it's not necessarily that you need a specific size. It's that you need a specific, like, idea. So should it be a vertical, of a head, or should it be a horizontal shot, depending on what kind of image you're uploading. So for thumbnail purposes, it's probably going to be a little more horizontal, but for a profile picture, it's going to be more vertical. So like if you're going to draw a box around my head right here, you could kind of see, and what you want to do is have enough space above the head and enough space below, so that when it goes into that auto crop section, as long as you know if it's vertical or horizontal, it should work just fine.
Specifically for the extension sites too, just to add on to this, the old websites had specific sizes that you had to upload them as, and the new websites do not. They resize whatever you upload to whatever dimension you are putting the image in as. So while you don't have to upload a separate image in a specific size for a thumbnail, all of the same normal image rules apply. Like, please don't upload something that is 8 by 11 inches or something, because that's, I mean, too big. And that's going to slow your site down a little bit. So, you know, resize them to a more manageable level. Maybe 800 pixels wide is probably about the max you would ever need. And then just you can upload it and it will resize for that thumbnail image.
I'm going to try and grab this link too, so that you can have a link. That was the last webinar on images where we went a little bit more in depth.
Gotcha. So Jill, if you're still on the old, I believe the requirement for the thumbnails is 100 by 100 pixels.
Yeah. Great question. That's a very common question, and it's a different answer depending on what you're trying to upload. So, I know
And
that can
for
be
us,
confusing.
and especially like when we're answering the questions, like we use the exact same platform, but we do have things that are different
Mhm.
between our IT groups. So sometimes the answer is a little different as well.
Yeah. Anything else? Y'all doing well? My goodness. All right. I think we gave everybody a gold star. No, please know that if you do have a question, please don't pull your hair out. Christy and I are both like pretty open. Well, we're very open to helping answer questions. So if it takes you more than a couple minutes to figure something out, please send an email to the respective email addresses. It's so for our groups, so for CALS and LIS websites, it would be websupport@iastate.edu. And Christy, what's yours?
Extensionweb@iastate.edu.
Excellent. So don't hesitate because we'll get answers out to you and get you some help.
Yes, don't get frustrated. We will help.
Yeah, please don't. Don't worry. All right, with that, I think we'll go ahead and close up shop. Thank you so much for coming again and have a wonderful rest of the week.
Thanks, Anne.
Yep, thanks, Christy.